For now, we will start with transport system. So transport system is about the transport of fluid or blood in our body, or the transport of food, sucrose or mineral or water in plant. Okay, and actually in our body, beside blood, we also will transport. We have this transport system that will specifically transport the lymphatic fluid. All right, in this chapter, we will learn about the transport system related to the mammalian hearts. So we will discuss about the hearts of the human and how the heart initiate the heartbeat, how the cardiac cycle in the heart, and we will relate the heartbeat with the ECG, electrocardiogram, and we will try to understand what are the factors that will affect the heartbeat, whether the heartbeat increase or decrease to low to the normal condition. And then we also will discuss the human lymphatic system. In this chapter, we just focus or we just relate the lymphatic system with the transport. Okay, because actually lymphatic system also will involve in immune system, that we will discuss the what do you call this, the effect of or the roles of lymphatic system in immune system in the next chapter. And for the lymphatic system, we will describe the formation and the transport of lymph or the body fluid or interstitial fluid, and also the transport of lipid from the intestine to the bloodstream. And the transport in plant, we will discuss about the movement of water, mineral, and sucrose or food in plant. All right, we will focus on the transport system in human. In humans, our transport system, it consists of three main components. The heart. The heart is the pumping organ, or the organs that will generate the pressure for the fluid, that is the blood inside the blood vessel, to move throughout the blood vessel. Okay, the blood vessel will form the tubes or the channels in which the blood will travel or circulate throughout our body. Okay, so this is the structure of our heart, the basic structure of the heart. So it consists of the blood vessel. Okay, the blood vessel, here we have the artery. Okay, we have the aorta. Okay, red in color, we have the aorta that carry oxygenated blood, and then we have the vena cava, and then we have the pulmonary arteries. Okay, so this is the main or the basic the basic components of the heart. So we need to remember, or we need to know the main blood vessel, and then the compartments of the heart. Okay, later on, okay, we will have the what do you call this? We will have the view of the heart, the cross section of the heart that shows the internal structure of the heart. So from the outside, we can see the right atrium, left atrium, and then the left ventricle, and then the right ventricle. And on the surface of the blood, you can see the coronary artery. All right, this coronary artery is the blood arteries or the blood capillaries that will supply blood to the heart or to the muscle of the heart. Okay, so if you ever heard about the heart attack or the coronary artery, so here is the part of what we call this, affected by the disease that called coronary artery. Okay, so what is coronary artery? Coronary artery is the less supply of oxygen due to the blockage of the in the coronary artery. Okay, so this is due to the deposition of cholesterol. Okay, later on when we discuss about the transport of lipid, we will understand that the lipid will be directly transported into our bloodstream, and there will be higher chances for the cholesterol to become clogged in the blood artery in the coronary artery. Okay. All right. The human heart. Okay. The human heart. The size of the human heart is just it's about the size of the cleanse of your fist. When you cleanse your fist, satu penumbuk macam ni. So this is the size of your heart. Okay. And it's positioned just in the middle of your sternum. Okay. Your breastbone. And it consists of 4 chambers, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. We will have the diagram after this. It because the left ventricle and then the left ventricle is much thicker compared to the right ventricle. So the point is the heart is positioned just in the middle of the breastbone or the sternum, but it's actually slightly to the left. Okay, why? Because of the left ventricle is thicker than the right ventricle. Okay, so this is the cross section of the heart. Maybe you can find another diagram that is more clear for you. But okay, we have the blood vessels, the main blood vessels that carry the blood from the lungs to the heart, or from the body to the heart, or pump the blood from the heart to the lungs or to throughout the body. So kita ada, we have the red in color is, if you see red in color, but the real heart or the real blood vessel, no color scheme. Just the color scheme here is just it will help us to differentiate which part will carry oxygenated and which part or which blood vessel will carry the deoxygenated blood. Okay, the red in color, aorta, pulmonary vein, and then right pulmonary veins. All of these will carry oxygenated blood. Okay, from the pulmonary vein, this one, lungs to the heart. Okay, right pulmonary veins from the lungs to the heart. For this one, aorta, this aorta from the heart to the rest of the, from the heart to the rest of the body. Okay, we have the blood vessel, inferior vena cava, and then superior vena cava. This will carry the blood from the body, superior vena cava, upper part of the body, and inferior vena cava, lower part of the body, to the heart. And then it will be pumped out to the lungs through left pulmonary arteries. This one is from the heart to the lung. Okay, same goes to this, right pulmonary arteries from the heart to the lung. Inferior vena cava from the body to the heart, lower part of the body. And then this one, superior vena cava, is from the upper part of the body to the heart. Okay, so the upper part. Okay, we have 4 compartments. First, we have the right atrium, and then we have the left atrium. Okay, right atrium, the lower part of the heart, we have the right ventricle, and on the left side, we have the left ventricle. Okay, the left and then the right part of the heart separated by a wall that we call septum. Yeah, the septum will separate the left atrium and left ventricle with right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, septum will separate the 2 segments or 2 compartments of the heart, left and right. Okay, and then in the heart also we have valve. Okay, to separate or to distinguish the left atrium and the right atrium with the right ventricle. We have the atrioventricular valve, or we call it tricuspid valve. And to separate the left atrium and then the left ventricle, we have the atrioventricular valve, or we call it mitral valve or bicuspid valve. Okay, and then To separate the not shown here, okay, here is the aorta, okay, to separate the aorta, okay, to separate the aorta with the left ventricle, we have the semilunar valve, okay, we have the SV valve, we have the SV valve to separate the, or to distinguish the aorta and left ventricle, okay, not very clear here. And then to separate or to distinguish between the pulmonary artery, pulmonary with the right ventricle, we also have another semilunar valve, okay. So we will have another diagram after this to shows, maybe to shows the more clear diagram related to the semilunar valve and atrioventricular valve, okay. So far we learned that we have the blood vessel, we have the valve, and then we have 4 compartments, okay. All right, the right and left atria compared to the what do you call this, compared to the ventricle, atria relatively have thin walls, okay, compared to this one is compared to atria compared to the ventricle, okay. Atria relatively have thin walls because they just they serve as a collection chambers to the returning to the heart from the lungs or the other body tissue. The roles of the atria is just to pump the blood to the ventricles, okay. So the wall is not really. All right, right and left ventricle compared to the atria, ventricles will have thicker walls, yeah. If the question asks why the ventricle has thicker wall, okay, the answer is because they need to generate a greater pressure, okay, or they will need to contract, they will contract much more forcefully to generate, so that the blood from the heart, okay, will be pumped out to the lungs or to the body, okay. Pump blood to the lungs, if the this one is for the left, this one is for the right ventricle, and throughout the body, this one is for the left ventricle, okay. So when we compare the right ventricle and left ventricle, the left ventricle, since the left ventricle need to pump the blood to the rest of the body, so we will say, or we can say that the left ventricle will have much thicker wall compared to the, or much thicker muscle compared to the right ventricle, okay. What is the function of the right ventricle?
To pump blood into lungs.
Yeah, kalau right to the lung. So, and then untuk left ventricle to pump blood to the whole body, okay. So much or more pressure will be required or will be needed for the left ventricle to pump the blood. That's why the walls of the muscle of the left ventricle is much thicker compared to the right ventricle. Okay, if the question asks why the left ventricle is thicker compared to the right ventricle, why?
The left ventricle need to contract with greater force to pump out blood to the whole body.
Yes, so there will be two segment of there will be 2 points of the answer. First, because it need to pump the blood to the rest of the body, but that is not the main answer, okay, or that is not the priority of the answer. The priority is first, the left ventricle has thicker muscle because they need to contract, okay, with greater force, or because they need to generate high pressure, okay, to allows the blood to be pumped out to the whole body, okay. So first, why it's thicker? Because it need to generate greater or great pressure or higher pressure. Second, to allows the blood to be pumped out to the whole part of the body, okay. Boleh paham nggak maksud saya? Why the left ventricle is thicker? Because it need to generate greater pressure or high pressure. That's why the muscle is thicker. Why? Because they need to pump the blood to the whole body. Okay, the whole body akan jadi secondary answer. Vein will carry the deoxygenated blood, carries the blood to the heart. Vein. A vein carries oxygenated blood. Arteries will carries the blood away from the heart. Okay. Vein ini adalah oxygenated blood. Arteries adalah deoxygenated blood. Okay. Alright. Vein kita ada. We have the right pulmonary vein and then left pulmonary vein. Okay. These blood veins atau these veins will carry the blood from the lungs to the heart. Yang ini pun sama, lungs to the heart. Arteries, okay, arteries here will carry the blood from the heart to the lung. Left pulmonary arteries from the heart to the lungs. Okay. Oxygenated portion, pulmonary vein, aorta. Okay. In this diagram, we use the blue and red. Red means oxygenated blood. Blue means deoxygenated blood. So basically, on the left side, it's carrying oxygenated blood. On the right side, it's carrying deoxygenated blood. Okay. So just to emphasize on this, we have this inferior vena cava, superior vena. This our heart is in our chest. So anything below from the heart is transported through the inferior vena cava. Okay, boleh ya? Okay, kita ada valve tadi ini sudah cakap juga kan. We have the atrioventricular valve and we have the semilunar valve. Okay. Atrioventricular valve on the left side kita ada bi atau bicuspid. Okay, and then on the left side, on the right side we have tricuspid. Tricuspid means the valve consists of three flap. Yeah, three flap. You know three flap? Ada tiga dia punya. Macam ni. So ini tricuspid. Okay, this one for kalau macam ni, this is one for. This one is for right atrioventricular valve. Ya. Yeah. Kalau dua saja, ini adalah left. Boleh nampak kan? Can you see my hand? Can you see my finger?
Boleh, sir.
Ini kalau dua, left atrioventricular valve. Kalau ada tiga macam ni, 2, 3, this is for right atrioventricular valve. Okay, the function is to prevent the backflow of blood from ventricle to atria. Okay, from ventricle to atria. And then the closing of atrioventricular valve will give the loop sound. Okay, the closing of the atrioventricular valve will give loop sound. Semilunar valve. Okay, we have two semilunar valve. One pulmonary artery with the right ventricle, and then on the left we have the aortic or aorta with the left ventricle. Okay, so we can use semilunar valve. We can use the name semilunar valve. No need to write the aortic semilunar valve, but that is for us to know specifically if the valve is on the left, then we call it aortic semilunar valve. But just use semilunar valve also already acceptable, right? It's prevent the backflow of blood from the aorta or from the pulmonary into ventricle. Okay, the blood will flow from the right ventricle to the pulmonary what? Pulmonary artery. Okay, pulmonary artery or to the pulmonary. So after a certain time, when the heart become relaxed, the pressure in the pulmonary or aorta will become high. Sini pressure dia tinggi. So the valve will become closed. Okay? When it's closed, it will produce dupe sound. The close of the semilunar valve will prevent the backflow of blood. Okay? It will prevent the mula-mula from ventricle to the pulmonary. Now from pulmonary to the ventricle, because the pressure here is higher than ventricle. but flow back, it will be prevented by semilunar valve. Okay, so the function of the semilunar valve is to prevent the backflow of blood from aorta or pulmonary to the ventricle. When it's closed, it will produce dupe sound. Okay, so every valve closed, what is the sound? Loop.
Loop.
Ya, bukan love, loop. When the semilunar valve closed, it will produce dupe sound. So the sounds of the heart is something like loop dup, loop dup, loop dup, loop dup, something like that. Okay? Pernah dengar bunyi jantung kamu? Pernah bunyi dengar bunyi jantung?
Jantung orang lain sir.
Jantung orang lain dengar, wih hebat lah, jantung orang lain. Siapa?
Macam mana mau itu sir? Tak sampai tu.
Kucing.
Tak tahu sir. Kucing.
Alright, next, the initiation of the heartbeat. Can you sense your heartbeat? Saya pernah ajar macam mana mau cek tu.
Macam sebelum ajar lagi.
Belum ajar. Okay, kita pergelangan tangan kamu ni on your wrist, okay. The outer part of the palm, okay, and then di tepi sini turun ke bawah sini. So kamu akan jumpa satu di sini. Terus dapat nih. Jumpa dapat. Ini ikut dari sini ya. Ini luar kamu punya apa nih? Luar permukaan atau tapak tangan. Turun di tepi dia, tepi antara tapak tangan dengan kulit kamu. So kamu akan jumpa terus di sini. Dapat? Sini. Pulse. But the pulse represent the heartbeat. Okay? So how the heartbeat initiate or how the pulse initiate? So it's related to the topic that we will discuss shortly after this that we call initiation of the heartbeat. All right. Just now in the previous slide we discussed about this, right? Kita akan bincang semua ni kan. Sekarang ni kita abaikan ni dulu. We just focus on the compartment and then the movement of the impulse. Alright? So kita punya jantung, okay, separated by kita punya jantung sini. Okay. It's separated by the septum. Septum will separate the left atria and left ventricle to the right atrium with right ventricle. Okay. So first, we have the pacemaker or we have the sinoatrial node. Okay. Kita punya jantung ni adalah kita panggil myogenic. Okay. Myogenic means dia boleh myogenic. It's outer rhythmic. It can contract and relax by itself without the signal from the brain. It means that when you remove your heart from your body, the heart still can contract by itself. Why? Because it has its own pacemaker that we call sinoatrial node. Okay, the sinoatrial node located on the upper wall of the right atrium, close to the superior vena cava. Yeah. So itu kita punya sinoatrial node. Di mana kedudukan dia? The position is on the right atrium, upper wall of the right atrium. Okay, the upper wall of the right atrium, close to the superior vena cava. Okay, di sana kita punya sinoatrial node. And then kita ada atrioventricular node. Atrioventricular node, okay, lower wall of the atrium, close to the septum. Okay, itu. Okay, and then septum, down to the septum, we have this left bundle and right bundle branch, atau kita panggil juga sebagai bundle of His. Okay, and then di sini kita ada di ujung bawah sini kita ada heart apex, and then the nerves yang ini kita panggil sebagai Purkinje fiber. Okay, cardiac muscle is outer rhythmic or myogenic, means the heart muscle can contract by itself without the signal from the nervous system or without the regulation or signal from the brain. Ya, jantung boleh relax and contract. The jantung boleh berdegup sendiri. Okay, a group of outer rhythmic cell on the wall of the right atrium adalah yang ini kita panggil lah SA node atau kita panggil dia sebagai pacemaker. Okay, the pacemaker will determine your heartbeat, whether increase or back to normal. Okay, components of the cardiac conduction system. Before this, we discuss about the discuss about the blood vessel. We discuss about the valve. But for now, we discuss about the components of the conduction system or components of the nerves that will conduct the signal during the heartbeat. Yeah. Satu, as a node fires the signal and spread the impulse to the right atrium and then to the left atrium. Okay, the muscle ataupun the walls of the heart muscle. Okay, so as a node spread the impulse and the impulse move across the right atrium. Which part of the atrium? Muscle. Okay, the muscle, bukan dia punya space dia. Okay, and then right atrium kepada left atrium. Okay, and then it will reach the AV node. Pada AV node akan ada delay. Nanti kita akan bincang lagi apa tujuan delay. First, the impulse generated at the SAN. SAN will send the signal to the walls of the right atrium and to the wall of the left atrium. And then the signal will reach the atrioventricular node. Okay. Ini AVN ya. Atrioventricular node. Yang kita belajar tadi, atrioventricular valve itu lain ya. Ini adalah node. Okay. Node is a group of tissue or a group of nerves that can relay or convey the signal. And then from the SAN, we have a delay. The function of the delay is for both to give time for the both atria to contract and empty completely ataupun completely empty. Okay. And then from the SAN, the impulse will spread. Okay. Di mana dia akan spread? Dia akan spread pada wall, pada dinding ya, dinding. Sebab you know dinding, the muscle of the wall of the heart. Yeah. Septum, we have kita ada ni bundle branches, kita panggil juga sebagai bundle of His.
Bundle of His.
Yes, and then it's down to the heart apex, and then the signal will be spread through the left and right ventricle through the Purkinje fibers. Okay, begitulah dia punya impulse dia. So this is the repetition of the information. Macam mana dia, how the heartbeat initiate. Satu, the heartbeat or the initiation or the signal start at the, di mana dia bermula pada SA node, and then SA node kepada right atrium and then left atrium, and then to the AV node to the septum. On the septum, we have the bundle of His, and then bundle branches, and then to the heart apex, and then to the Purkinje fiber. Delay wave of electrical stimulation before being conducted through the bundle of His, bundle branches, and Purkinje fibers. Mechanism of the heartbeat. Okay, first, SAN, the pacemaker, that generate the electrical impulse. The impulse from the SA node spread rapidly across both atria walls, both atria to contract simultaneously. What is meant by contract simultaneously? Kita punya left and right atria contract at the same time. Okay, and then the impulse from the SA node will reach atrioventricular node atau AV node. The impulse a delay for 0.1 second at the atrioventricular valve. Kenapa dia delay? Ini dia punya jawapannya. To allow the atria to contract, pump the blood into ventricles and empty completely before the ventricles contract. From the AV node, the impulse from the AV nodes are conducted to the heart apex and throughout the ventricular walls by specialized structure called bundle branches and Purkinje fiber. Maksudnya from AVN kepada heart apex melalui bundle of His. Okay, from the heart apex then spread to the Purkinje fiber. Purkinje fiber, barulah dia akan, kita punya ventricle akan contract. Then the impulses from the AV node are conducted to the heart apex and throughout the ventricular walls by specialized structure called bundle branches and Purkinje fiber. The impulse then spread throughout the ventricular walls. Both ventricles contract, okay, from the apex upward towards the atria. Okay, dia akan contract dari mana? Dari bawah ni ya, from the heart apex. Dia akan contract sampai ke ventricular, okay, towards the atria. So the blood will be pumped. These impulses generate currents that can be measured when the signal impulses reach the skin via body fluid. Ya, dia punya electrical currents tu kita boleh detect dengan menggunakan electrocardiogram. How to explain the impulse transmission or the initiation of the heartbeat? Okay, SAN will spread the impulse to the right atrium and then to the left atrium. And then some of the signal will reach the walls. So and then di sini dia akan contract and then the signal will reach the AVN. AVN akan ada delay 0.1 second. And then from the AVN, the impulse will move down to the heart apex, ya, melalui bundle of his ataupun bundle branches. It will spread through the Purkinje fiber. Ini Purkinje fiber. Kepada siapa ni? Ini right ventricle, sini left ventricle. So supaya dia pun akan contract simultaneously.